Okay, welcome to this tutorial, which is one of the two tutorials that we're going to have, and we'll be looking at malware. So we're going to discuss malware in the context of computer and information security, and the topics that we're going to cover will include types of malware, attributes of malicious code, how viruses work, and how anti-malware detects them. Then at the end of it, we're going to look at the motivation that lies behind the authors or the writers of malware. Now, malware stands for malicious software. It is created by cyber criminals to harm the user's computer. Some malware is created to gain financial help, while others is simply to destroy data. So we can define malware as a software that is written to intentionally cause unanticipated or undesired effects. The effects would be attacks in this case. The malware code will usually change two things, namely data and other programs. Now we have a table that is showing types of malware that exist, and there could be many more, but these are the ones that are very common. So we'll look at some of them in details, or others will just be mentioned as lessons unfold. This one we'll start with is what we call the botnets, or the robot network. Now, a bot is a computer that has been infected with malware, so it can be controlled remotely by a hacker. That bot can be used to launch more attacks or to become part of a collection of bots. Bots are created to perform a series of actions automatically. It is used to prepare what we call the DDoS, the denial of service, the distributed denial of service, to get access to servers. It can also be used to alter, to render, and clicks on ads to benefit its creator. In this case, the creator is the author, or you may refer to them as the hacker. Other uses of bots will include indexing website for the search results. Now, botnets help hackers with all manner of malicious activities, which include the distributed denial of service attacks, the key login, the screenshots, the webcam access. We're going to look at the key login later on. Then also spreading other attacks of malware. And lastly is sending spams or phishing messages. Now, catch bots, an anti-malware software is used, and it analyzes the behavior of all the programs. When it detects a repetitive action, it blocks that software. Now, to stop it. To stop the bots on software, the users take the help of what we call a capture service to filter the bots. Now, the picture we are showing there is an example of the capture. Now, you're going to find that this is a common page that we refer to when you are browsing on the internet, and there are some sites that will require you to just fill in and indicate that you are a human being and not a robot. And after you've ticked this button which shows a human being, it will take you to the next page where you have to identify some features that will be put in front of you. Most cases you find that it will be pictures of bots where you have to identify which ones are bots, or it could be pictures of robots, or it could be pictures of bicycles. It varies from site to site. The next malware that we'll look at is the ransomware. The ransomware basically denies or restricts access to your own files. Now, then it demands a payment, which is usually with cryptocurrencies, in return for letting you back in. Now, we have examples of these types of attack, and we have what we call the WannaCry, which is a ransomware that attacked a number of countries, and billions of dollars were lost. Now, ransomware is a dangerous malicious code, and it encrypts the user's personal, confidential, or even organizational data with a strong encryption method. It will demand the ransom for you to decrypt the encryption using a decryption key that will be given when that ransom is made. Now, without the key, it is almost impossible to access your data. Hackers will demand a ransom, and they will usually use a cryptocurrency known as Bitcoin, and this is basically so that they cannot be traced by the law enforcers. Ransomware attacks can be reduced by the following ways. First of all, it is through keeping your operating systems up to date, and then keeping your antivirus software up to date, and then you back up most of your files in an offline location. Then do not open attachments from unknown sources, like it was in the case of the WannaCry. Now, to catch ransomware, the anti-malware uses what is called behavior analysis, and the security software will use what is called the sandbox technology, which is a virtually controlled environment, and it analyzes the behavior of the malware. So if the action of that program matches the ransomware, it will block that program. The next one that we have under the malware is what we call the rootkits. Now, rootkits are created to provide remote access to a computer without getting detected. Now, the hacker will remotely execute files or modify the system settings, or sometimes then change the software such that the actual software that was meant to catch it will not, in this case, identify it. Sometimes it may be to steal confidential data or even install other malware. Now, the word root from the rootkit comes from the word root, which is in the Linux operating systems, where the root user is basically the administrator of the system. Now, most of you will understand that administrator of any computer basically has all the rights to change or alter settings in that computer. That is just what the rootkit does. So they're going to modify the kernel, and it becomes part of the kernel, which means it becomes part of the operating systems. Now, this makes it invisible to the operating systems. It cannot be identified as a virus or as a malware. And since it cannot be identified, even if you open your task manager, you will not be able to see it from that list, and you will not be able to actually block it. Now, this will also mean that even the antiviruses or the anti-malware that are installed on the computer will not be able to detect that rootkit. The next one that we have is the spyware. So the spyware simply records your online activities and harvests your data and collecting personal information such as usernames, passwords, or surfing habits. Software is usually distributed as a freeware or a shareware that has an appealing function on the front end, but a covert mission running in the background that you might never notice. It is often used to carry out identity theft and security card fraud. Now, spyware is used to track the user's activities without their knowledge. That is one thing you should take note. It actively monitors the actions taken by the user and also records their browsing and search history, as well as the financial data such as bank login details, credit card details. Now, during this process, another type of malware, which is called the keylogger, which we mentioned earlier on, will collect the user's keystrokes and send all his information to its creator using the internet. Now, the keylogger contains valuable information to capture, as it captures everything that you do with your keyboard. This could mean as you enter your credit card details, it captures that. Also, the sites that you visit, it will capture, as well as those also capture the emails that you have sent or composed. Now, the keylogger, what does it? Grabs the information before the information is encrypted and sent. So now, most of you may say, what about in the case where they mention that this information is encrypted? What really happens? Now, that is the part where the attacker will infiltrate even before that happens. Like we have just alluded to, the keyloggers will capture any keys that you're going to be typing on your keyboard, which means that is before the information has even been sent. So it's a very, very dangerous spyware, malware that you need to really be aware of. Now, once on your computer, the spyware will relay your data to advertisers or the cyber criminals. Some spyware will install malware, additional malware that makes changes to your settings. So it is simply made or put on a computer to watch what you're doing. It may present to you with advertising pictures, and of course you'll be persuaded to click on them. Now, to catch a spyware, the anti-malware uses a signature. Now, we have to understand the signature, that every virus that is created will leave behind a signature. So once that signature is captured, and the behavior-based detection, it will also monitor the internet and it will filter the spyware. The second last that we'll look at in this first tutorial is what we call the Trojan horse, or basically the Trojan. So just as its name sounds, the Trojan horse is a malicious program that will disguise itself as a legitimate file because it looks trustworthy and users will usually download it. It will enter the user's computer as a normal file or a program and perform malicious tasks set by its creator or the author or the hacker. Now, which can be given remote access to the hacker, stealing confidential information or data. It can even download severe malware or act as a spyware. Now, what makes this attack stand out from other attacks is that it can lay dormant for a while while it awaits a command from the attacker. Once the command is sent out, the Trojan is activated on every affected computer and creates a system. Now, we understand what a system is. And that system will be called a botnet. Now, we looked at the botnet, and now we are saying that these are now a number of bots that have been affected, which means it sends a little information from each computer to a server. Now, this could also be a computer program that appears to have useful functions, but also has a hidden and malicious purpose that invades security mechanisms, and sometimes by exploiting the legitimate authorizations of the user who invoke the program. Now, once you have gotten the Trojan on your device, hackers can use it to either delete information or modify or capture data. They can harvest your device as part of the botnet. It means they link you to other bots. Then they can also spy on your device. Apart from that, they can gain access to your network. Now, to catch a malware, anti-malwares are used, and they use what we call a heuristic analysis and a sandbox to detect the Trojan. If the program detects a suspicious action, the anti-malware executes it in the virtual environment, which is the sandbox, and analyzes it according to its behavior. Now, this brings us to the end of our first part of our lessons, and we're going to continue from here in the next tutorial. Thank you.